So you guys just recently heard from one of our counselors about GPA, about your transcripts, how to calculate GPA, some of those things. So following that, let's look at some different colleges and universities. You probably already know a couple different places that you're interested in possibly going to. College Data is a pretty decent site, assuming that you're looking at American universities. They don't seem to have any international ones. I couldn't find Oxford, I couldn't find Cambridge, I couldn't find University of Wollongong. So your schools from outside of the US don't seem to be included in here. But for US schools, this seems to be a pretty good site. So let's look up Rice University. And what we'd like you to do is to look up a few different schools, a handful of schools, and see what are their requirements. If you wanted to go there, what do you need to do? What do you need to make? What do you need to focus on? So I've searched Rice University. It's brought up to Luther Rice University or Rice University. And I want the one in Houston, so even if I was confused, I can see here it's this one's the one in Houston. I can see a little bit of data here, but if I click on the school, I'm going to get a lot more. Here's an overview. So a little bit about the school, how many students, a little bit about admissions, a little bit about cost, academics, campus life, a little bit more about the breakdown of the students. But I have those same options up here, and I can click on any of these to get additional data, more specific data. And so now that I've clicked on that, you can see a whole lot more data here. So you can see entrance difficult. They rank Rice as most difficult. As far as what's required to get in, they actually see high school diploma or equivalent is not required, but they do require essentially what you would need to graduate anyway. So for English, only 3 math, but they recommend 4. Only 2 science, but they recommend 4. Only 2 foreign language, but they recommend 4. 2 social studies, but they recommend 4. They also require 3 academic electives. So those would be electives in academic areas that weren't required to graduate. So that might be journalism like yearbook or broadcast. That might be something like computer science. That might be extra sciences that aren't required. So maybe like earth science. That might be like psychology and extra social studies that isn't required. So they're different things like that. They do require SAT and ACT, but they don't have the scores listed for this school. Information about applications, application fee, is there a fee waiver, different things there. As far as who they let in, so what are they looking for? So very important would be how hard are the classes that you're choosing to take? Are you choosing really easy classes, or are you actually choosing difficult classes? Your GPA. So do you have a strong GPA? How you did on standardized tests like the SAT and the ACT. What's your class rank? Recommendations from staff members at that school. Your essay. Extracurriculars. If you have a specific talent or ability. And your personality, your character. They do have a couple other things in here that are considered. Actually, they have a lot that's considered. And then not considered at all. They don't take into account your religious affiliation at all. Overall acceptance of applications. So 70% were accepted, and that 17% is more or less the same for both men and women. Although you can see as far as who actually chose to enroll, more men choose to enroll at Rice than women. And how many of those that were accepted were early admission? So of the 1,500 or so, or of the 15,000 that were admitted, of the 1,300 that were admitted, 25% of those, so 400 or so, were early decision. And how many were offered a waitlist? How many actually accepted that waitlist position? And how many were actually accepted into the school off of the wait list. So, yeah, not a great percentage on that. You can also see SAT. So this is the middle 50%. So that means it's not your top 25% of students. It's not your top those top 25 percentile, and it's not in the bottom 25 percentile either. It's the middle 50%. So like 26 or so to 74 or so. So it's that chunk of students, a big chunk of the middle. So that should be, you can kind of see that as your average. So what they're wanting to see normally on math, you could expect, because that's the average. For reading, for writing, and then here you have for ACT. And those are pretty high scores. And then high school rank. So 87% of the freshmen that are enrolled were in the top 10 of their class. 97% were in the top 25% of their class. And all of them were in the top 50% of their class. So, you have to do pretty well. Now, it varies from school to school. So, I looked up Rice, and that's in Houston. If I want to stick with Houston, I can look up University of Houston. And let's say we want to do main campus. So you can see they take a lot more students in. You can see the percentages. You can see how many graduate students they have. Difficulty, they say, is only moderately difficult. Over half of those who apply are admitted. If you go to admissions, you can see the breakdown. If we scroll down, you can see there's less requirements. They don't have any academic electives required. Application fee is a little bit less. What they're considering very important is substantially less. So how hard are the classes that you chose to take? How did you do on SAT and ACT? What's your class rank? You can see here overall admission rate. So who got in based on their high school rank, what your average ACT scores are, what your average SAT and your math and reading SATs are, writing not required. So you can see different ones for different schools. And you notice that this was different too, and so you'll see this is different for different schools as well. A&M puts very important on your, where is it? A&M puts great importance on your character and personal qualities. A&M is very strong about being an honest, good person, and that's kind of part of their expectation for you as a student. So they are rating this very important, whereas other schools, like U of H, might not even consider it. So look into a handful of different schools, collect down some of this data, and that's what you'll need to turn in. So if we scroll back up, we've got other tabs up here too. Another one I'd like to specifically draw notice to would be the academic tab. Here you can see some different information like the undergraduate majors, curriculum requirements, faculty and instruction, including class sizes, so how many percent of students are in different size classes, as well as regular class size. So you can see that roughly 9% of classes have more than 100 students. And that's true. A lot of the freshman classes actually have a ton of students in them, 200, 300 students in them. They do have advanced placement on here. They say that AP is accepted for placement, but they say that IB is not. Now this website is collecting data, and not everything is always accurate on here. You definitely want to look more into these specifically at the schools themselves, look on their websites, because I know for a fact that this is incorrect. We have had quite a few students attend U of H and receive a lot of credit for their IB diplomas. We've had students receive 27 credit hours, 30 credit hours. That's like 9 or 10 classes that they didn't have to take in college. Basically, they went and they were already a sophomore because you normally only take 4 to 5 classes a semester. U of H is also a public college in Texas, and all public colleges in Texas have to give at least 24 credit hours for students who earn the IB diploma. So I know that this is not true. Now, Rice University doesn't accept IB diploma credit, and they don't accept AP either. However, Rice probably won't let you in if you're not doing AP or IB diploma. All of our students who have attended Rice from here were in the IB diploma program, and most of them received scholarships too, actually. So that says that they don't accept it, that's their official stats, but you're not getting in if you don't do AP or IB diploma. And if you're interested in what type of masters they have, you can see those down here as well. Now, once again, keep in mind that this website collects data for thousands of schools, so they might have some inaccuracies in there. Don't take just this as factual. You still want to double check with the actual university or college if you really want to go there, because this could be inaccurate, but this is a decent place to start. Now, if you want to see other schools that you might be interested in, that a lot of students are interested in, if they're interested in this school, you can do college overlaps. And these are other schools that a lot of students that are looking up University of Houston have also shown interest in. If you go to Rice, we can see that list changes. It's not based on the location, it's based on the school. So we can see at Rice, you have students also interested in Stanford, Duke, Cornell, UT Austin, and Washington University in St. Louis. So these will change from school to school. It's not geography based, it's based on the school.